What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So, Michigan State basketball heads on the road to Piscataway to play the Rutgers Scarlet Knights on Tuesday night, 6:30 on FS1. Now, this is a Scarlet Knights team that has struggled this year overall. When you look at the schedule overall for the year, 9-11 overall, 2-7 in the Big Ten. You look back some early season matchups for them. They played Tennessee. Lost that one by about 25. Played Notre Dame tight, but still lost that one by 5. Got a win against UNLV. Losses to Purdue and that school down the road, back-to-back games there earlier in the season. And going down the list, they did beat Oregon, common opponent there. That was a 3-point win. Beat Northwestern by 2 for their second Big Ten win on the season. And then Iowa, they did play close. That was only a 6-point loss in that one. But going into the RAC definitely isn't always an easy place to play. Tom Izzo talked about that in his weekly press conference this week. Obviously, you don't know with the weather of it all, and obviously Rutgers' schedule a lot different than last year. I mean, 10 new players, a lot of freshmen on this roster. A lot has to do with probably how they're performing this year, but overall, it's usually, can be a tough place to play overall. So Michigan State will have to show up in this game despite the record of Rutgers in this one. Tom Izzo talked about that in his weekly press conference as well. Obviously, the weather factor of everything. I know Michigan State plane to get to Piscataway was already delayed once here on Monday, but who knows? Hopefully it doesn't get delayed anymore. I know Izzo was worried about getting out of there to get home for that quick turnaround for the Friday game that we have this week against that big rivalry game, school down the road. But anyway, before we do jump into this one, if you could just hit that like and subscribe button down there. We'll have more Michigan State basketball content on the channel, so just make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video. So just starting here with the roster for Rutgers. As we said, 10 new players on the roster from last year, but you have to start with Tariq Francis, guard for them. Really solid overall, 16 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal on the year, 32% from 3, but I mean, he can light it up in the score sheet. 28 points, 30 points, 30 points, 34 points on the year. So he's definitely their go-to scorer. And I know Izzo talked a little bit about comparing him to Coit a little bit from the Maryland game from last time out. But anyway, he can light it up and definitely their best scorer overall. Dylan Grant, a forward for them, 11 points, 5 rebounds on the year. Then you move down the list. Darren Buchanan Jr. at 8 and 3. 8 and 3 as well for Jamichael Davis. Haroon Zerno, 6 points for them. Their best 3-point shooter, Darren Buchanan Jr., hasn't got up. He's their best percentage-wise, hasn't got up a lot on the year. Their most 3-point makes on the year, Haroon Zerno. On the year, he's about 32% on the year, so that's where you look at that. But overall, pretty low scoring team. Obviously, only 2 players averaging in double digits, average about 70 a game. Decent on the boards, though, 35 rebounds a game as a team, 11 assists, 6 steals, about 4 blocks, 11 turnovers, about 41% from the field, 72% or 73% solid from the free throw line overall, and then 32% from the 3-point line as well. Look, just some other numbers I always like to pull here. 297th assist to turnover ratio, not a lot of assists. Do turn it over, not a horrible amount. That's a solid. That's where we always like to talk about Michigan State, that 8 to 12 range. They're solidly right in there, but 297th assist to turnover ratio. Something they actually do really well, and I think that's due to the lack of scoring. So the percentages I think can kind of be skewed with that. But they're 56 in the country in bench points at about 29 bench points a game. 181st fast break points. Don't really love to run. They're 284th in tempo overall. 291st 3-point attempts. They only attempt about 20 per game. Don't get a lot of threes up. And you see that pretty on the lower half of the middle of the pack, I'd say, in terms of 3-point percentage. When you look at just the percentage-wise, if I had to guess there, 255th turnovers forced per game at 11. So they, force about 11 turnovers a game. They turn it over themselves about 11 points per game. So that's kind of just the overlook at Rutgers overall. But for Michigan State in this one, obviously it's all over the last, this little win streak here, well, not little win streak, that's 6 in a row win streak now since that tough loss on the road in Lincoln. Michigan State has really found a lot of things. And I think something that we've seen over this 6-game stretch is the defense continue to elevate. It was already a top 5 defense in the sport, pretty much all year, but really over these last couple weeks, you've really seen it ascend, and it's now the number 1, and if not number 2 in all metrics. It's either the number 1 or number 2 in all defensive metrics. When you look at it, whether you look at Bart Torvik, whether you look at KenPom, whatever, it's the number 1 defense in the sport. So that's really ascended and continuing to make that a priority and something that you're leaning on. But something that Michigan State struggled with earlier in the season is their half-court offense has improved over the last couple weeks as well, and that's been huge. And it's been no secret that Jeremy Fear is ascending on the offensive side of the ball, looking for his shot more, making more shots, getting to the lane, his little one-footed floaters or, stopping floaters. And then, even with his jump shot, mid-range jump shot, Cohen Carr with his mid-range jump shot as well. These things starting to round into form as you move into the heart of your schedule, as we're moving into the end of January, into February, and into March. This has been a solid, mold and for Michigan State over the last couple weeks, and something that you hope can continue and will need to continue going through the rest of the Big Ten season. Because look, I'm not going to spoil this too. We just went through the numbers for Rutgers, Michigan State, double-digit favorites in this one. We'll get to that here in a second, but you're building to, you got a big-time rivalry matchup in the Breslin on Friday, but it doesn't stop there. You got Illinois, which will be another, well, as of right now, will be another top 10 matchup next Saturday in the Breslin Center as well. Wisconsin, pretty high up there in the standings overall as well. You got UCLA coming in, they have talent. Ohio State you have coming in. You go to Purdue as well, and then you play that school down the road again at the end of the year. So the next month and a half, 2 months, not going to be easy for Michigan State, but Michigan State over the last couple weeks have kind of fixed things that, were kind of questions and concerns over the first part of the year, first 2 or so months of the season. So that's been solid. Now, can it continue against the heart and the top of the Big Ten standings is what we're going to find out. We're going to find out a lot, this week, over the next over the next month or two. Things are about to start getting really real. And I think this is an interesting test, not even just about like the trap game before you play your rival, but Rutgers is a tough place to play at times. Like, yes, we just went through all those numbers, and like we said, Michigan State will be double-digit favorites. We'll get to that here in a second, but, you do never know. It's the human factor of it, but this team has been locked in. These 4 captains have been locked in, so hope can do that. Go on the road. Hope the travel and the weather isn't too much of something that they have to deal with, and they can just get in there, execute like they've been executing the last couple games, get out of there and start preparing for this Friday matchup. Not overlooking this game, because I do still think there's things, the 2-guard position. Getting Jax, back in full flow offensively. Thought he looked solid last game. Didn't really need a whole lot given the score of the game and everything, the way everything was going. But, those are the kind of things I'm looking for. Continuing Cohen Carr, getting to that, just want to see it more. That mid-range jumper that he's dribbling into, improving at the free throw line, him, and really as a team just getting more consistent that range. But when you look at some of the numbers for Rutgers overall, Bart Torvik has them number 170 in the country. Right now, adjusted efficiency offense, 185th, 164th defensive adjusted efficiency. They do not defend the 3-point ball well, 332nd in the country, so that's something Michigan State can create some open shots. They've been better knocking them down this year, so if they can get some open looks, if they can knock them down, that'll be big in this one. Now, Michigan State, number 5 on Bart Torvik currently in the AP poll, moved up to number 7. This week, 53rd adjusted efficiency offense, 2nd adjusted efficiency defense on Bart Torvik. Like we said, KenPom has them as the number 1 defensive team. Still top 2, 3. They're 3rd right now in assist rate overall. So Bart Torvik has this as a 73-58 Michigan State win on the road in Piscataway at the rack against Rutgers. Like I said, this is a big one to a step to the rivalry game. Big one on Friday night in the Breslin, but need to go in there, handle business, get out of there with a win. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. We'll be back with a recap for this one, but thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.